You know, his own former spokesperson said, you know, riots and chaos and violence help his cause. That's what this is all about.
I don't know who said that.
I do. Kellyanne Conway.
I don't think she said that.
She said that. And so here's the
All right.
But here's the point.
Go ahead,
The point
sir.
is that that's what he is, keeps trying to rile everything up. He doesn't want to calm things down. Instead of going in and talking to people and saying, let's get everybody together, figure out how to deal with this. What's he do? He just pours gasoline in the fire constantly,
And-
every single solitary
Okay,
time.
and to end this, button up this segment, I'm going to give you a minute to answer, sir. You have repeatedly
Well, wait,
criticized.
I have to answer his
No,
statement.
you have
His statement.
repeatedly.
Wait,
you have
just one
repeated. No,
second.
you've been talking
You
back
made
and
a
forth.
statement.
I'm asking you.
I would love to
you know,
end it.
sir.
I would love to end it, and
you know,
we
if
would
you want to
very-
switch seats,
We would
could
very quickly.
We could do that, but
I'd
I'm
send
no,
in
I'm,
the National Guard. It would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay,
but they
good.
don't want to accept the National Guard.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing
That's right.
extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
Are you
I'm willing
prepared
to do
specifically
that, but
do it?
Well,
I
go
would
ahead,
say,
sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see
Well,
peace.
then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Do you want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name. Go ahead.
supremacists
Who
and
would
white
you like me to
supremacists.
condemn?
White
Proud Boys.
supremacists and right-wing
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by.
So, guys, who won the presidential debate? Well, I gotta be honest with you, it was a real shit show. I mean, I sat down with my wife Lisa and tried to watch the whole thing. After 5 minutes, we decided we just couldn't stomach it. It was just an absolute train wreck. And look, the overwhelming online feedback was negative towards both candidates. I mean, Biden fared better, obviously, because he tried to be the adult in the room. But I tell you, Trump went in there, just would not stop, would not keep his mouth shut, making the event marked by various insults and interruptions, and no adults, no congregation, no meeting, no conference in the world could get by when you have a child throwing his toys out in the pram in the corner, and unless you put a dummy in his mouth or pacifier to shut him up, it's just not workable. And still, one candidate tried to be honest, tried to be the adult in the room, and tried to hold it together. But Biden just couldn't. In the end, he ended up calling Trump a liar and a clown, both true, of course. But the professionalism is the key, really. And that's always what Biden has had in his corner as a statesman. And I think he lost a little bit of that yesterday. Remember when Michelle Obama was saying, when they go low, you go high? Well, Biden, he went low, and he did it a few times. And I think that this was a plan from Donald Trump. Because look, Trump has no policies. He didn't build a wall. There's only parts of the wall that have been refurbished. He hasn't lowered drug costs. He's given tax breaks to the top 1%. He hasn't really done anything. He's permitted his Muslim ban. So yeah, he's made his base smile, because the base really reads his Twitter account and believes everything he says. And if you believe everything he says, then he's the best man in the world. In terms of the count, Biden was cut in his sentences 73 times. And Trump planned to do it consistently, therefore knocking Biden out of his stride. It kind of made sense. Trump wanted it to be chaotic because, remember, Trump has no narrative. He has no policies. Also, it riles up his base. When Trump gets angry and acts like a bully, it pumps up his base. And it led to a series of chaotic exchanges, which included Trump questioning Biden's intelligence and Biden calling Trump a clown. Now, look, Biden even said, "Will you shut up, man?" Time and time again, Trump would just try and snipe at Biden, leaving him laughing and shaking his head. Even Chris Wallace, I felt sorry for Chris Wallace. I got big respect for Chris Wallace and Fox News. And at one stage, Chris was saying, look, we're going to talk about the coronavirus in the next topic, and both candidates would have 2.5 uninterrupted minutes to answer. And Biden turned around to him and said, yeah, good luck with that. Responded better to Biden than they did to Trump. And this was mainly because some of the issues that were tackled. I mean, race relations, Trump is fueling the fire with his base, telling the Proud Boys to stand down and stand by. Now, if you guys don't know who the Proud Boys is, the Proud Boys is a far-right anti-immigrant all-male group with a history of street violence against left-wing opponents. One social media Proud Boys account posted the logo, "Stand back, stand by." Yes, sir. And Biden, meanwhile, was accused by conservatives of downplaying the threat of Antifa. Now, Antifa is short for anti-fascist. It's a loose affiliation with far-left activists that often clash with far-right activists. During the debate, Biden quoted the FBI director as saying recently that Antifa is an idea, not an organization. The FBI director also said in his congressional testimony this month that Antifa was a movement that includes violence and extremists. But the US Department of Justice has accused Antifa of instigating violence linked to rioting in the cities this year. Look, overall, guys, like I said, Trump is fueling that fire by telling the Proud Boys to stand down, to let law enforcement do its job. And considering that most of the police are the cause of the problem with brutality against minorities, that's a sign of Trump telling his base with a badge to continue their work and hit hard the people on the streets. Why do you think we're still hearing about police shootings against innocents? All of the orders are coming from the man in the White House. Now, moving on, climate change were the most popular topics, and Trump and his base still don't believe in the science. That kind of doesn't really work. And as I said, the debate descended into squabbling, bickering and insults, with the US media describing it as chaotic, ugly and awful. Remember, guys, the whole world was watching you. Trump has got no policies. Look at the health bill. Yeah, it takes intelligence to achieve writing up a health bill. They tried to do it in the first month of Trump's presidency, and not a single one of his cabinet in 4 years has been able to make that work. Neither have they lowered prescription charges. Trump talked about 80 to 90% decrease in drug charges, but he hasn't been able to do that in 4 years. So why would you vote for a guy who's telling you he can do something which he hasn't already done? Now, he has no control over that from Big Pharma, because they will only raise premiums to make up for the money they've lost. Biden's health plan seems to be better and more grounded, but in my opinion, it's still not better than Bernie Sanders. Biden's plan is less aggressive than Bernie Sanders' proposal. For example, Biden calls for letting the government negotiate the price of drugs in Medicare. He doesn't propose a stick that would let the government negotiate the price of drugs in Medicare. He doesn't propose any leverage to reduce the prices significantly. The Congressional Budget Office said that simplifying and giving Medicare the authority to negotiate the drug costs doesn't save the government money. So if Medicare can't negotiate appropriate price for a drug, the price will be at its lowest of the three options. The lowest paid by the VA or the Medicaid, or the average paid for the drugs in certain member states of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Now, I think Bernie's idea in terms of the international price indexing, that is probably what they need. Another component of Biden's plan would be to establish an independent review across the board to assess the value of drugs that lack competition in the US. So it would incentivize companies to charge the prices in the US that are comparable to those in countries like Canada, the UK, Germany, France and Japan. So if the companies don't cooperate in the US, then Americans would be free to go to Canada to buy drugs without no import taxes. You might have to wait a little bit longer, a couple of days or a week for delivery, but you won't be charged any more. So your drug prices in effect would be decreased by about half. And look, Biden has been one of the only candidates who has run on drug pricing platform that doesn't include the policy to let the government break patents when the drug isn't deemed fairly priced. So I'm not sure if that would work, but regardless of what happens, Biden's plan would be better than Trump's plan. But both plans are just not as good as Bernie's. Bernie's got the plan that will hit it right on the nail. And look, Bernie was always about reducing costs, taking power away from big pharma, taking power away from the establishment, really, lowering college debt, lowering college prices, or getting rid of them completely. But unfortunately, Americans didn't like that, and then they chose Joe Biden. So here we are. And look, overall, the feedback from what was happening was that 66% of people trust Biden more to Trump's 29%. Healthcare, 66% trust Biden to 32% Trump. With the coronavirus, 64% trust Biden to 34% Trump. Here, winning these polls by 2/3. Even when you look at the Supreme Court nominations, 54% trust Biden to 43% Trump. On the economy, voters who watched the debate were kind of a split on that, saying 50% Biden, 50% Trump, which is funny because Trump's normally been on top of the economy stage, maybe because of all the 50 million job losses and where the country is right now. They've just lost faith in Trump. But overall, 63% who watched the debate said Biden had a better plan for solving the country's problems, and only 30% that just said that Trump did. And that seemed to be the stronger leader overall. So look, I don't, to answer your question, who won the debate? I don't think anybody won the debate. I think Americans lost the debate. I think the voters who went in there undecided. And look, after 4 years of Trump being president, how the hell can you go into this election undecided? Like you haven't seen everything already, yeah? Like you don't know what the plan is. I mean, I get it if you was a Bernie fan and you weren't big on Biden's options. I get it, yeah? A lot of the reasons why Hillary lost was because the people who voted for Obama didn't vote for her. Some of them didn't vote at all, and some of them decided to punt and then give Trump a chance. But the fact of the matter is, the job is to get these people back on board and form a bipartisan in-party Democratic solution to Trump's problem, because Trump is the problem. And you're not going to solve it by bickering against the Sanders, the Bernie boys, and Biden's clan. You're just not going to do that. You have to come together, put your differences aside, and get the man out of the White House if you disagree with his policies. And overall, I don't think that America's doing that at the moment. And look, I don't know where things are going to be moving forward, but I do advise everybody, if you want to see change, you've got to get out there and vote. This isn't a choice where you can say, look, I don't like either of them, or none of them are talking sense, because that is what's going to give the other one victory. Yeah? That's where I'm going to leave it, guys. I'll catch up with you guys later, and let me know what you thought of the debate, even if it was a car crash. Peace out.